Good evening and welcome to the launch of Act 30. I'm Heidi Weiskell. I'm the Senior Program Manager for Ocean in the Washington, D.C. office of IUCN, and it's a real pleasure for me to be here with you tonight as your MC. What are we celebrating today? We're celebrating the immense potential of Target 3 of the Global Biodiversity Framework to help us meet the climate goals that we're negotiating right now, right here in Dubai, and the new avenues that it opens up for how we conserve biodiversity, including threatened species and habitats. To launch this new initiative, let me first call our Director General, Dr. Gretel Aguilar, up here to the stage to welcome us.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. And thank you very much for being here after a long day. I know that your agendas have been very busy today. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends, amigos de los pueblos indígenas, friends from indigenous peoples organizations, and local communities, thank you also for being here. You make this night very special. I am Gretel Aguilar, and I am the IUCN Director General, IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. Tonight, let me also recognize here the Director of the High Ambition Coalition of People and Nature, Rita. Yes, thank you for being here. And Jair Urriola from the Central America Commission on Environment and Development. Thank you, Jair, for being here with us. So tonight, I am delighted to launch our initiative in support of inclusive conservation action to fairly and effectively conserve at least 30% of our planet. Our initiative is called Act 30, as you can see here behind me, because action and implementation is what we need now. Act 30 is a collaboration between IUCN and the International Indigenous Forums on Biodiversity, otherwise IIFB, whose members are here. Part of his members are in this room tonight. And the global geographic information system provider, ESRI, as we know them. Together we will map diverse, equitable, and effective pathways to conserving 30% of our planet in perpetuity. But let us step back to 2022, when the historic Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework was signed, calling on the world to bring at least 30% of lands, oceans, and freshwaters under protection. One of the most critical elements of Target 3, 30 by 30, was a recognition of the significant role that indigenous peoples and local communities play in conserving biodiversity. Target 3 is historic because it challenged governments to think about the recognition of indigenous and traditional territories, which open up enormous potential to conserve biodiversity. This twin approach of focusing on what counts, the threatened species and habitats that urgently need protection, and who counts, the people who are best placed to protect and govern them, is an art of Act 30 approach and partnerships. Act 30 will partner with countries to build and implement biodiversity conservation roadmaps that are effective, equitable, and founded upon rights-based approaches, using IUCN's world-renowned global network of technical expertise. IIFB, depth and traditional knowledge and experience on rights of indigenous peoples, and ESRI's advanced geographical technology. 30% is a global target, but will be achieved by countries as they commit to conserve their own lands and resources. And I have to say here that their own lands and resources mean also lands of indigenous peoples and territories of indigenous peoples that they own and conserve and guard. These countries will be leaders and pioneers for how we can achieve the new targets of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. In fact, IUCN state members are among the first set of countries that IUCN will work with, both in this region and in every region of the world. So later on, you will hear from my colleagues some regions from West Asia that will be joining us in this effort. The innovative approach of Act 30 is in IUCN's convening and collaborative role. It's an innovative approach for us in IUCN. IUCN will bring an approach of data, dialogue, and direction to each country that will combine spatial conservation planning with in-depth national governance assessments. This will help governments pinpoint where conservation is required and help them to convene national and subnational dialogues with all actors to develop conservation roadmaps that utilize the knowledge and realize the rights of indigenous peoples and local communities. For us to properly achieve Target 3, we need to prioritize the full and effective participation of indigenous peoples at all stages of planning, implementation, and monitoring. You know, I know that you have been hearing this probably in many of the events, you know, to respect the rights of indigenous peoples and local communities. But I think that we have to really move from the speech to the action. And that is what matters here. What matters here is not this speech. What matters here is that we all recognize that indigenous peoples play a fundamental role if we want to achieve conservation targets, if we want a better planet, if we want really to achieve the 1.5 that we are talking here and that we have to fight for. I have seen in the corridors the indigenous peoples. I have heard that you are more than 300 this time. And I hope that your voices can take central space in these discussions. And that we, the ones who are here, and everybody can also help to open those spaces, because it's not easy, and I know that. And I know that you have been pushing so hard for so many years that I think that all of us need actually to reflect and to help them to take a central stage in this discussion. For us, to properly achieve the Target 3, which is to conserve 30% of this beautiful planet, we need to prioritize the full and effective participation of indigenous peoples, and we know that. I think we all know that. And we know that that will only happen with the appropriate tools and with the recognition of laws and policies also that will take into consideration traditional knowledge and wisdom. IUCN is taking the first step with Act 30, committing to co-design and co-delivery with IFP and with IUCN members, indigenous peoples organizations in this global initiative. Furthermore, Act 30 will scale up the use of the IUCN Green List globally to help meet the effectiveness component of Target 3. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, partners, we are all here at the UN climate negotiations, hoping for a strong outcome. We know that the world is at the crossroad, confronted by the dual crisis of climate change and biodiversity loss. At Act 30 is a call for action, a call to act in every capacity we can as individuals, as communities, as states, as a global community. IUCN, together with our partners and with the IIFP and ESRI, stand ready to assist each and every one of you in this room to make this a reality. We have here with us our IUCN Vice President, Ramiro Batsim. Where are you, Ramiro? Oh, he's here. He's a UCN vice president, and I have to say that in IUCN, we are very, very proud to have an indigenous Maya from Guatemala as vice president of IUCN. For IUCN has been taking quite a bit to have a vice president, indigenous peoples. And in 2016, we recognized indigenous peoples as a new category of members. So they are not just non-governmental organizations. They come at IUCN in a special category with their own name, Indigenous Peoples Organizations. And I want here to recognize the work of Ramiro in this effort. Muchas gracias, Ramiro. And thank you very much again for being here.
Thank you so much, Greta, and for that amazing introduction and for giving us the context that we need to understand just how significant this work is. Conservation means something different to each of us, and I think it's worth being able to articulate and revisit what it means to each of us individually as we go through this work together. We only have 7 years to achieve this global biodiversity framework, but we must move at the speed of trust. It means balancing the need to gather and engage with all of the diverse actors and the need to act without unnecessary delay to shore up conservation in as many scenarios as possible. So I think weighing those two speeds at which we need to move is really important and requires thoughtfulness from each of us and from our different perspectives. To speak more about this, I want to invite Lucy Mulankai, the chair of the International Indigenous Forum on Biodiversity, the IIFB, to the stage to speak. So you can speak from here or you can speak there.
Okay. I think I'll speak, but maybe I should come over there so that I can see, everyone. Oops. Yeah, there you are. Yeah. I need to be seen and I need to see my audience. Thank you very much, and I want to say thank you to IUCN and all the partners that are here, and also for you all for being here. And Greta for really being able to bring some of the issues that we really wanted to speak about, but I think she has put everything on the table very well. And you said it's 7 years ahead of us, but that's very short time. So we need to work all of us together and to make sure that we achieve our goals. And by the time it's 2030 or 2050, living in harmony with nature, we must all know our direction. And indeed, Kuning Global Biodiversity Framework, when it was adopted in Canada in 2022, we found that that was one of the best time that we had, even though we had waited for a long time to be able to deal with COP15 of the Convention on Biological Diversity. But it came up with quite a lot of issues that really helped us. Mainly as indigenous peoples and local communities, we were working hard all throughout the years to ensure that we achieve what we really wanted to focus and what we wanted to look at our way forward there. And this particular conference was very important because in its decision 15/4, which is about target 3, is very, very important for us because for the first time in history, we found out that this particular target was going to help us. And also the governments themselves, the parties to the convention, were looking at the particular target as something that recognized the rights of indigenous peoples. And this was historical for us because we've been all the time singing and talking and making sure that the parties to the convention could be able to listen to us. And we are lucky that as the International Indigenous Forum on Biodiversity, we are observers and we are the advisors to the convention. So whatever they do, they get advice also from us. So this was very important to ensure that the rights of indigenous people was really put in place and it was going to be respected. And also knowing that the work that indigenous peoples and local communities were doing was very crucial to us. And target 3, why it's also very important, as Greta has said, is the fact that it recognizes the indigenous and traditional territories, lands and territories of indigenous people. The target itself says ensures and enable that by 2030, at least 30% of territorial and inland waters and of coastal and marine areas of biodiversity and ecosystem functions are advanced and are effectively, looked at and conserved. And this is also very, very important. And it continues to talk about the recognition of indigenous people's rights and their territories and traditional knowledge, which is also very important for us. And to us, this is very, very crucial because we'll all the time look at it and make sure that we remind our parties to the convention about the particular issues. And that's the reason why we also are working with our partners, our different partners, to make sure that we can all take the journey together. We are partners in Act 30, which is also a journey that we have taken with our other indigenous peoples, and we have been working very closely together with IUCN and other partners, the HAG team, High Ambition team that has also been working with us before and even during the time when the Conference of Parties really approved these particular targets. There are about 23 targets, so there are many. But those targets also we try to look as much as possible, and they are all related. Even though we are focusing on target 3 right now, you look and see that they are related and they are linked together. And this is also very important to look at it, and that's why we are very key to make sure that at least we look at that and be able to work with them. And the target contains 2 approaches according to us. One, proactive recognition, the contribution of indigenous and traditional territories to conserve biodiversity without it being protected areas, which is also very unique, and other effective based conservation measures, measures, which is the OECM, that is normally all the time. Those are the acronyms you'll hear all the time if you're working on biodiversity. And we find that this is a change in the paradigm that used to be there before. But at the same time, we look at this approach as very important, and it's an approach that looks at us and try to give the recognition, the fact that we can be able to work as indigenous people and look at our lands and really be able to do our work without a lot of other issues and other measures in it. But we need support, and we need also really a human rights approach that can be also help the whole process to be inclusive, to have the policies, indigenous people on the table, to also contribute to the policies, and to be able to really make sure that we also discuss and be recognized on whatever we are contributing. Effective participation, that is inclusive, that is human rights approach that we can all be able to work. And there's the reason why we are working with IUCN, as we had said on this, and we are happy that today we are launching this so that we can continue working with us, and all the indigenous people who are here can also be able to help us to take this journey, and all of you as partners to be able to work with us. So I think we also call on parties. I don't know how many parties are here, but we are calling on them to make sure that they also work with us and to join the wagon, to join the train. See the trains the way we are going around here in Dubai in the 2020. We want to sit all of us together that way as parties and partners and indigenous people, and then we can move together and be able to work together. And I hope you all take that message home, and we are happy to work with you, and we continue making sure that we contribute as much as possible, and also in mutual agreed terms, so that we can be continuous partners throughout the conservation. Thank you.
We must protect nature as Earth's planet. We must look after nature as if our lives depend on it, because they do. So now it's that time.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. That was a preview of coming attractions in about 1 minute.
Act to put.
It's a very enthusiastic video. I just want to make sure to thank you so much, Lucy, for those remarks and helping us understand each of these targets that we have. And as we all know, conservation demands that we think beyond a single population, a single group of people, a single species, a single habitat or resource, and we really need to be thinking holistically both across time and space. The best protected and conserved areas are likely to cross among the terrestrial and freshwater and marine realms. We've talked mostly about terrestrial, but I know we also want, those of us who work on ocean issues also want to make sure that we're talking about marine protected areas here as well. And we're increasingly thinking about these migration corridors and seasonal shifts, and we're thinking about these external factors that we need to take into account. So how do we figure out where these areas are so that we can best recognize and support them? Well, we rely on partners like ESRI, and speaking on their behalf today from video feed, we have David Gadsden, who's the Director of Conservation Solutions at ESRI. Okay, now the video. Thank you so much.
And thank you for the opportunity to contribute today on behalf of the Environmental Systems Research Institute, or ESRI, at this important event. I'm David Gadsden, ESRI's Director of Conservation Solutions. ESRI is a global leader in geographic information systems, or GIS, with a mission to inspire and enable people and organizations to impact their future through a deeper geographic understanding of the changing world around them. We're thrilled to join Act 30, a bold and ambitious initiative to conserve 30% of land and waters for nature and people by the year 2030. Over its 54-year history, ESRI has supported tens of thousands of conservation and natural resource organizations, in addition to a large number of tribal and indigenous communities around the world. As a contributing partner to Act 30, I wanted to share how ESRI will assist in leveraging the power of geography and GIS to advance the mission of Act 30. ESRI will not only contribute its leading mapping technology and expertise, but importantly, its vast community of GIS professionals and local partners, including nonprofits all around the world. Our technology is open and interoperable, supporting integration with other relevant data systems to provide open access to key data sets, enabling open conservation science and planning. We can help achieve the goals of Act 30 by mapping and monitoring the status and trends of land use, both globally and locally, as it relates to biodiversity and ecosystems. Identifying and prioritizing areas for conservation and restoration, assessing and quantifying the benefits and value of protected and conserved areas, both for biodiversity and for people, and engaging and empowering rights holders, stakeholders, and decision makers with simple, interactive apps and visual tools. ESRI is deeply committed to its collaboration with IUCN and is honored to provide its technology for a number of IUCN initiatives. This includes the Green List, Contributions for Nature, Restoration Barometer, in addition to the management system for the new Vjosa Wild River National Park in Albania. ESRI is not only a technology provider, but a partner and a supporter of the Act 30 mission, bringing with it the global geospatial community to this important and critical effort. We recognize the vital role of Indigenous people and local communities for their unparalleled stewardship of nature and acknowledge the challenges they face. ESRI will develop mapping toolkits based on the guidance from Indigenous peoples and local communities to empower their local mapping efforts and enable technology for them to share at their discretion their data and knowledge to advance dialogues around Act 30 and ultimately decisions. We hope and are confident that Act 30 will advance a more sustainable and equitable future for all. Thank you again for the opportunity to contribute today. We are humbled by this opportunity, and we're thrilled to get underway. Thank you.
Thank you, David, if you're listening online. This is a massive contribution from Esri to global conservation efforts, and we're very grateful and delighted by the partnership. Next, I'd like to invite Rita Maria Alzaglou, who's the director of the High Ambition Coalition, which we refer to as HAC, for Nature and People. We've brought the technology, indigenous knowledge, and IUCN's guidance and tools to the table, and the HAC brings what will bind all of this together, which is political will. Would you like to come and speak, or you could speak there?
I can speak from here. That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure really to be here with all of you, and thank you for staying so late. I know that it's been quite a long day, walking a lot back and forth, so it's really a pleasure to see all of you here. And I want to really start by congratulating IUCN, IFB, and Esri for the launch of the Act 30. I think this is a very exciting moment. From the High Ambition Coalition for Nature and People perspective, and for you who don't know what we've done so far, it's a coalition of 117 countries that came together back in 2019. And as was mentioned before by Lucy, we have been working really to try to see how we can bring together many countries from different regions in order to have the 30 by 30 target. So the first phase of the coalition was really trying to bring together all those different countries and regions in order to be able to ensure the adoption of 30 by 30. But since the beginning, we knew that this was not going to be possible if we don't have also the voice and full participation of indigenous peoples and local communities. And in a very early stage, we started to engage with the IAFB. And I see Ramiro here and Lucy, and we'd made a lot of Zoom meetings with the HAC and IFB. And I know that this was an enormous effort from the IFB because you had to create a task force within the work that you were doing, and the same was for the High Ambition Coalition. We created a task force and we started working together. I think I'm very proud to say that and very proud to see the results of that coordination, because I think thanks to the coordination that we held with the IFB, we managed to have a target that really is, as was said before, pragmatic and really was forward-thinking. And so now that the target has been adopted, we really want to make sure that the implementation is done in an effective manner. And so we're very glad and happy to continue that collaboration with the IFB and with IUCN, and to see how we can bring more countries into really implementing and not only leaving it as a catchy phrase of 30 by 30, but actually trying to make sure and ensure the full participation of indigenous peoples and local communities, to ensure the rights of indigenous people, the recognition of the rights of indigenous peoples and local communities, and to really get to 2030. And I think my math is not very well, because I always think that it's even less than 7 years. I think we have less than 7 years, and every time I say it, I feel the weight on my shoulders, because we do have very short time to reach that goal. So please count on us to see how we can collaborate and bring the momentum that has been created with the 30 by 30 to really make sure that this goal is a reality, and is a reality, as was mentioned before by Lucy, bringing everyone together, because this effort is really a gigantic effort in which we need all of society together. So thank you very much for this invitation, and we really look forward to continue on collaborating with you in this new phase.
Thank you, Rita. And I think you're right. It is December as of today. So really it is 6 years. So you're quite right to speed us up even more. Thank you for those remarks. The next person I'd like to call on is Jen Phillips. She's the Assistant Secretary for Climate Change for the California Natural Resources Agency. And we're really glad to have her here today. I think some of the most, it's really important to have members taking initiatives and signing the treaties and engaging. But a lot of amazing work also gets done at the subnational level. And California has really been a leader in that regard, certainly on the climate front and also on the 30 by 30 front. And I'm glad to have you here today to be able to speak a little bit about what California has done in this area of protection. So you can stay there, or?
I'll stay here. Hello, everyone. And yeah, echoing my thanks for staying late with us. It's been a very long day, and I know a lot of us arrived last night, so we are confused. But yeah, I'm Jen Phillips, and I work for the California Natural Resources Agency on climate change. I work very closely with my colleagues who are tracking our work on 30 by 30, and I know they work closely with you on lifting up subnational entities through the High Ambition Coalition. California is, of course, very excited about the work and the target that we've set for 30 by 30, but more so, and our governor says this all the time, it is about implementation, and we are in the age of implementation right now. So while California was the first state in the United States to set a 30 by 30 target, we are equally focused on how do we get there. And yes, we're making good progress, but it is really important that we think about how do we make progress and how do we ensure the lands we're conserving are durably conserved and we're conserving in a way that is well integrated and serving our climate goals, our biodiversity goals, our access goals, and so much more. So, you know, we are, of course, very supportive of this Act 30 effort, and definitely want to go back to my team at home and think about how do we collaborate more closely on this. One thing we are doing with our work to really understand where we're making progress on our 30 by 30 work is we have similarly started a public-private partnership with Esri to develop a tool called CA Nature. And this is, again, really a way to track our progress on our 30 by 30 goal. So far, we have conserved over 24% of our lands and over 16% of our coastal waters, but we know we need to move really quickly because we are fast approaching 30 by 30, or 2030. So, you know, I think overall, we really support moving this 30 by 30 commitment into something that is achieved and making sure that we're manifesting these commitments in a way that we're doing that with high quality and durable conservation, and really look forward to working closely with Act 30 given all of the aligned collaborations we already have. So thank you for recognizing the role of California and the importance of subnational entities, so states and regions and cities in this work ahead.
Thank you, Jen. And our final speaker today is Dr. Hani El-Shayer, IUCN's Regional Director for West Asia. Do you want to come up here? Yeah, do it. Come up.
Thank you so much. Yani very inspiring. I can see indigenous people, planners, managers. This is state members. This is really inspiring, and this is how IUCN works. My name is Hani El-Shayer. I'm the Regional Director of West Asia Region, IUCN, which is based in Amman. And really, thank you for being with us today to celebrate the launch of the Act 30 initiative. As the Regional Director of West Asia Region, I'm really proud to see that this initiative is launched from the region, from West Asia Region, and especially from Emirates. A regional that has continuously inspired the world with an innovation and ambition despite the different challenges and limitations. As distinguished colleagues mentioned in their opening remarks, this important initiative came as a result of partnership between IFP, IUCN, and Esri to support parties in implementing Target 3 of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Target 3, as you may know, calls on all parties to bring 30% of their lands, fresh waters, and ocean under protection. Achieving this ambitious target by 2030 requires commitment, as Grissel said, actions, resources, and cooperation among the different state parties. And I will add here, this is how IUCN works. While the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework focused on qualitative and quantitative aspects of area-based conservation, the need for tools of resources and collective action to achieve this target was evident at all scales. I would like to mention that IUCN lead and co-lead the development of many tools and resources to help achieve Target 3, and answering the questions like, how do we define success in protected area and conserved area? What is good governance of protected area and conserved area? What counts in the 30% target and what doesn't? All these questions were pivotal to enhance the understanding of governments and the conservation community to provide them with tools to reach Target 3. I would like also to draw everyone's attention to the keywords at least 30% beyond protected area and conserved area. There is a clear need to apply the best sustainability practices to the remaining 70% of the globe in the whole Earth approach. I will refer again as IUCN Director General. The Act 30 initiative is meant to identify champions countries. And this is why here I will forget what is written. And I would like really, as a regional director, to thank 2 countries in the region. They show interest and commitment to join this initiative, which is Jordan and Egypt. I was in direct contact with both 2 countries, and they show interest. And I'm happy here that we have Mr. Engineer Bilal Shagarin. He's the head of the climate change department in the Ministry of Environment. Maybe just half a minute to say some words. What do you think about how to achieve these targets? Is it easy? It is difficult? IUCN in your back. We are going to be in your back to achieve this target. But this is the commitment really the ministry showed as the regional director. Really, I'm proud about it. And to launch the events here from the region and the hosting country, which is Jordan, showed the commitment. This is something really I'm proud about it. Engineer Bilal,
Well, first of all, thank you so much for that. What I would like to say that all of us from developing countries, and we are countries affected by climate change, we need to adapt. We need to raise our resilience. In order to do that, we always think with collaboration with all of each other. And the best name for that is to have an international union for nature conservation. So IUCN is the best to do such. And within that, the matter is that we do not need within Act 30 just to conserve 30%. We need to rehabilitate, we need to enhance the ecosystems in those areas so that it could be the lungs of us, it will absorb the CO2 emissions, and within that we will have carbon sinks, we will have the other issues that can serve us. Thanks to the Rio summit that happened, which had the 3 conventions, biodiversity and the desertification compact and the climate change. Within those, we do have lots of issues, lots of dots. We need to connect it so it comes together. We have the Nagoya Protocol, which talks about the genetic resources and indigenous people and the traditional knowledge. The same we are talking in climate change, the same for desertification. So again, our gratitude to the IUCN and for all of the partners that they are coming to us with an Act 30 in order to do something in the upcoming 6 years to raise our resilience, and we can at least be efficient within the climate affections. Thank you again. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much. Also, Jordan not just committed to the, also they have another commitment. They said that they're gonna restore 10 million trees during the next 10 years. This is related to, I think, to the IUCN position paper, and this is really, thank you, Jordan. And the other country, which showed also commitment, and I was in direct contact with the CEO of the Ministry of Environment in Egypt, is Egypt. So Egypt is also committed by 2030 is to achieve Target 3. So, and we have here Dr. Khalid Allam. He has a long experience in protected area in Egypt. Now maybe he's international expert. So just quickly, in just half a minute, how are we going to achieve this target?
Thank you, Dr. Hani. Thank you for IUCN for allowing me to be part of this nice reception where I feel all the positive energy coming from the audience and from the whole group in the room. So actually, it is the first time for me. I'm having more than 27 years of experience working in the field of biodiversity and protected area. This is the first time for me to see what international initiative for one of the targets of the global targets that we set in the CBD biodiversity. So when we go to achieve the journey of Aichi targets, we failed in some of the targets, but this is because there is no effective way to follow up this after the declaration. But now, by having such kind of Act 30, I think Target 3 will be on the right hand, the IUCN. And in this, we should focus on the different element of Target 3, because I'm afraid to end at the end, it's a race between countries to declare the 30% only, without considering the other elements of the target, the effectiveness of the target, the contribution of the indigenous people, the integration into the larger landscape and seascape. All these elements should be included in this act. I'm sure that IUCN will do this. And of course, we don't need to forget that we need to be sure that the remaining 70% should be managed in a sustainable way, not negatively affect our effort in the 30%. Because in the future, we will see in the next 20 years that we will ask the board and the party to conserve 50%. So we have a lot of work to do, and thank you for IUCN for bringing this initiative into reality. And myself, as an expert in the region, I will support this, and I will ask all my colleagues, and I ask all of you to be part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khalid. Thank you. I forgot to tell you that Dr. Khalid is the chair of the Eagle Group, the Green List. So he knows all the protected areas in our region, and he's Egyptian, yes, but he really knows all the protected area in our region. Thank you again for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of the day, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hani. Thank you to both of you for coming and for being such an important part of this initiative. Really, it means so much. And thanks to everyone in this room who came. I have a feeling that there's quite a bit of enthusiasm, as you said, quite a bit of positive energy. This will not be easy to do, but I have a kind of auspicious announcement, which is that also, something that has not been easy to do is to get food into the COP because of all of the catering drama that has happened, and we haven't been able to have food or drinks at our receptions. But tonight, our IUCN people managed to make it happen, so we do have wine and pizza for you, and I want to invite you all to come and join us for this and to think about all these ideas and continue to network and continue the conversation. So let's remember this as a turning point for the better. Thank you so much.
We must look after nature as if our lives depend on it, because they do. So now it's the time to act to protect 30% of our planet by 2030. Guided by those who best know how, bringing together indigenous people,